Hello and welcome to the Backline Report. Every week, Fred Altvater and I check in on the world of golf to bring you the latest news, insights, analysis, interviews, recaps, previews. Hey, we cover anything and everything golf. In other words, if it happened in golf, we have it for you. And wow, boy, do we have a big one. I don't think it can get any bigger than this. It's the 150th edition of the Open, the British Open, at the home of golf. It can't be any bigger than this. And well, we have to bring the bigger than life from Scotland, the European golf guru, Kieran Clark, because he's right there across the street. Okay,
Well,
from St. Andrews. He's gonna tell us all about it, and we're not saying anything. We have it from him, so we're gonna bring him first. Kieran, hi, how are you?
oh, I'm very well, Carlos, and I'm like a coiled spring here, waiting to burst with anticipation and excitement because it is the major to end all majors, the ultimate major, the 150th Open Championship from the old course at St Andrews. This is a very, very unique occasion, probably an event that is a unique landmark. Winning this would be a very extra special achievement for any player who accomplishes that. Um, Everything feels just a little bit bigger this year, and it's an extraordinary event. I've been here for the whole build up, seeing it all start from scratch, the infrastructure, the stands, the whole setup, and now we're here. Now it's real. People are here. The players are here. And yeah, there's an absolutely palpable buzz around the whole town. You can feel it, and it's a wonderful occasion. We're only Monday at recording this, but by the time we get to the championship on Thursday, it's going to be very real, and it's going to be a fascinating week because the old course is playing firm and fast, and the old course is looking in pretty good nick right now. She's in a good state, and it's going to be fascinating to see whether this most ancient of golf courses can still hold up against the players of today. But ultimately, it's history, it's a claret jug, it's the Open, and I think we're in for something very special this week.
Oh, we are expecting. It's like when you go to the Masters, it's coming. It's like you're expecting it. But when the Open is at St. Andrews, is that type of expectation. You really want to see it. It's the home of golf, and it's incredible. And I was listening to Jack Nicklaus, Fred saying, the challenge of the old course remains. Doesn't matter if it was 100 years ago, 60 years ago. Those pesky bunkers on the side. If you just hit it sideways, it's gonna be there. And the players now, even though the game has evolved and all that, the challenge of the old course remains. So, what about the Open, Fred?
Yeah, this is a big one, guys. I mean, this goes back to the 1860s, right? When they started playing this thing. I mean, that's when the Civil War started here in the United States. So that was a long time ago, and they've been competing this tournament and uh, finding the champion golfer of the year every year. So, and it's an open championship. You got to qualify to get in this thing. There's no real free rides that are given out for this. All the players there have pretty much earned their way in, and they're all great players. Even the names that are familiar with, if they get a good week, they could be right there come on Sunday. So we got maybe a little bit of rain coming through the week and weather, and that's always an issue at an Open Championship. But guys, it's St. Andrews, it's the Open Championship, it's a big week.
Hey, weather and the course is incredible. And Kieran, you've been doing an incredible job keeping us up to date with what's going on there. The pictures, I mean, you can sell them, I guess, to the best better out there. But anyway, tell us a little bit about what you have seen. What can we expect on the course? The weather, how is it the latest there, and how do you expect it to impact the players who really with just a few, even though there's some few bigger names that are not going to be here, the field is incredible. So how could the players expect the weather and the course to behave during the week?
Well, the golf course will play like a true links course, proper links course where it's firm and fast. There hasn't been much rain here lately. The golf course is turning brown on the fairways, so the ball is running, which hasn't been the case really at the last two opens here that have been really badly affected by rain. The course is very green, much softer, but it's firm, it's fast, it's kind of how they want it. Had a little bit of rain 2 or 3 weeks ago, and that's just brought the rough up slightly a little bit as well. So setup wise, the golf course is really 100% how they would want it, where there's enough rough there, it's playing firm and fast, it's immaculate conditioning on and around the greens. It really is fabulous, the job they've done. So the old course has probably never looked any better than what it does now. And I think the players are really, really enjoying what they've seen so far. And you touched on the conditions, and that's ultimately the story. The golf course is what it is. It's, you know, they can't trick it up really in any more way than what they have right now. It's all about the wind in particular. And as I say, the weather coming into this has been fantastic. It's been absolutely spectacular over the weekend. A little bit cloudier today, but still a very nice day. So the golf course is going to get firm and fast. It's going to be dry going into Thursday, so it'll be even firmer by the time we get there. So they'll have a golf course that's really absolutely where they want it to be. And then the big question is, does the wind ramp up slightly during the championship days? That does appear to be the case. Certainly, I think it's on Saturday. It'll be quite windy. The rain chance is a little bit hit or miss. It's there's a slight chance of rain at times, but it's not a huge chance. So it wouldn't be a massive surprise if they actually get through most of this without any rain whatsoever. So the golf course will play even faster by the end of the weekend. So this it's not quite as firm and fast as Carnoustie was 4 years ago, if you remember, when it was more or less brown, but it's getting that way. And so yeah, this is more akin to the Open when Tiger won it back in 2005, when it was quite firm and fast. Jack Nicklaus, who is back over in St Andrews this week for the first time since he retired from golf in 2005, he even likened the weather and the conditions to what he saw that week, where it feels very similar to that. So ultimately in links golf, it's all about the conditions. If it's calm and there's not much wind, then these guys will just take the golf course apart, because that is its defense. And that's it's all about the elements. But if there is still some wind there, this course still has some teeth in a windy day. So that'll be fascinating to see. And I think from a viewing perspective, you want to see that. You want to see these players tested in that way. You want to see the old course be shown in its best way. And to have that, had the firm conditions, that's perfect. Now a little bit of wind would make it just the perfect links test. And if they get that, then they'll have the perfect golf course, perfect setup, and the perfect conditions for this biggest championship of them all. So yeah, the big question will be, Carlos, this old course, these modern players, how will they interact with each other? Can it still compete with these players? It has stood the test of time remarkably. Jack Nicklaus said earlier today that back in the early 1960s, he wondered back then, how could this course still challenge the best players in the world? And that was 60 years ago. So the old has stood the test of time, but it does need some wind to give it a fighting chance. And who knows, it might get that. I hope it does, because if it does get that wind, then it'll make for a fantastic test, one that's befitting this championship.
Oh, and I can't wait to see that. I mean, it's going to be incredible. And Fred, one of the stories, one of the players that is going to be here, and we have been awaiting that, is that a 15-time major champion Tiger Woods that is going to be playing, and it's incredible. He's just removed 17 months ago from that catastrophic crash that we saw him. He has been featured twice in the Masters and the PGA Championship. He has made the cut, but then retired after 3 rounds because of the injuries. It's sad to see how he's going. He still doesn't look like he could even finish a tournament, and he's going to give it a try at the Open Championship here in St Andrews, where he won in 2000 and 2005. And today, Justin Thomas, his close friend now, and maybe the protege for Tiger, even tipped him for hey, he can contend. His swing still like the old one. I think he's going to challenge, but hey, his swing might be there, but maybe his condition is not. So how about Tiger Woods playing here in the Open in the 150th edition?
Well, let me start by saying that, Kieran was talking about the weather a little bit. And so, it's only going to be 58 on Thursday. And we know that, with Tiger's health issues and physical limitations, cold weather is not good for him. If it's under 75, it's hard for him to swing and to play. The other issue is then the walking, which we've seen him completely drop out of the U.S. Open. We saw him have to retire from the PGA. You know, it's just it's hard for him to walk and to move around. We've seen that. So that given, St. Andrews is not nearly as hilly. There are, you know, some little bumps out there, but not nearly as hilly as a lot of golf courses. So he doesn't have to traverse a lot of ups and downs. So that may help him. If he can keep his swing in line, I mean, who plays in the wind and the conditions better than Tiger Woods? He's still got that in his head how to do that. He's lacking rounds, so there may be some rust. So he may not be able to hit the shots that we would normally see him pull off. Now, earlier this week, I saw him hit some shots in the J.P. McManus Pro-Am, and he did not play very well. He did not play well at all. So the weather was a little cool, windy, wet. Maybe it was affecting him then. I don't know. But quite honestly, guys, I'm looking at this that, you know, I guess I wouldn't be surprised to see him make the cut. I mean, he's been doing that in the 2 majors he's played so far this year. He's made the cut. I guess I would be a little bit surprised if he breaks into the top 10. And maybe even surprised a little bit if he makes the top 20. Maybe I shouldn't be. It's Tiger Woods after all. He does the impossible. We've seen him do it in the past. We've always been amazed at that. So, you know, I just don't expect much from Tiger. But at this point, it's like he's continually been saying, hey, I'm just glad to be here. I'm glad to be able to come out and play and compete. Whatever happens, happens. I'm just here to enjoy the competition.
I think, Kieran, one victory would be just, first of all, to finish the tournament. I think that would be amazing. If he does that, that's just a victory in itself, because that's what he hasn't been able to do. He skipped the US Open to make sure that he was going to be fit properly to play in what he described as his favorite course of all time, which is here at St. Andrews. And he wants to be there at the home of golf. But again, we saw him grimacing and in a little bit of pain on Sunday in that practice run with Justin Thomas. I don't expect him. I mean, even Justin saying, you know, would I be surprised? No, because he has seen and he has learned more than to challenge anything from him. But really being realistic for what we have seen, he has not given any indications that he can finish the tournament. For me, it would be amazing just to see him finish, even whatever position it is, finish 4 rounds, doing it great. But what's your take on Tiger?
Well, I mean, I followed Tiger yesterday on Sunday in the practice round, and he did look physically labored at times. He did seem to struggle, not even just with just the pain. It was as if almost he had allergies as well. He didn't look quite 100%, but he played fantastically. He had some wonderful shots, hit a beautiful drive down 17, drove the 18th green. He played really, really well, had all the shots. And then today on Monday, he didn't do very much. He walked apart of the course. He then played in the 4-hole Champion Challenge event alongside Rory McIlroy, Lee Trevino, and Georgia Hall. And he played very well in that. Appeared to actually be more relaxed and comfortable. Seemed to really, really enjoy the experience. But of course, that was only 4 holes versus 18. And then 18 over 4 consecutive days under the stress of competition. I think Fred's correct about the temperature as well, where the temperature has been very pleasant the last few days, where you're well into the 70s Fahrenheit, so very comfortable for St. Andrews. So I think that would help him physically. If it's a little bit cooler, a little bit windier, suddenly, like anyone who has any sort of ailment, it becomes a little bit more uncomfortable when it's like that. So even before the accident, we saw at the Open at Royal Portrush in 2019, he really struggled there when it was damp. I think his back really struggled there. And he obviously missed the cut there just months after winning the Masters. But there is something very special about his relationship with this golf course and with this particular championship. It's kind of like they're all Open championships are special, but the ones here just are a little bit extra, that kind of distinct, and it really, really fires him up. So it wouldn't surprise me if I see him go out there on Thursday and he's in the top 10. Whether he stays there over 4 consecutive days is a different challenge entirely. It would obviously be an unbelievable story if he was anywhere near the lead going into the weekend. And he can't entirely rule it out because he is Tiger Woods and he's done impossible things. He's made the improbable possible so often throughout his career. And he knows this is really his last chance to come here to the old course and still have the tools potentially to actually play well. I mean, it could be 5, it could be 7 years until we come back here. He'd be in his 50s by that point. I mean, this is probably his last chance to really, really contend at the old course. It might be a slim chance, but there's still a chance, and he will absolutely believe he can contend here. And I think he'll play well. I really believe it, because the shots I've seen him hit this week have been fantastic. I think there's a special formula that's there with the old course and Tiger Woods, and maybe there's one last little bit of magic left there. And if it's going to come out anywhere, then I think it will be here. But just having him in the championship obviously is fantastic. I think he's really enjoyed the 2 days he's been here so far. He seemed to really, really enjoy the champion exhibition on Monday. I'm not sure what his practice schedule is going to be Tuesday, Wednesday. Perhaps very light. He played 18 holes Sunday. He walked some of the holes on Saturday night. Did the same this morning. Probably the same Tuesday, Wednesday. But Thursday morning, it's going to be, as he said himself today, it's game day, and we'll see what happens. But it's one of the many fascinating subplots here. It's how will Tiger do? I think he'll do quite well. What that really means for a mere mortal, as you said there, Carlos, is making the cut, playing all 4 days. That would be fantastic, and on paper, it absolutely would be. This is Tiger Woods, and I think his expectations are, yeah, he'll do that, but let's try and have a little bit more. Let's try and scare these younger players, and you never know. Tiger might roar one more time.
Yeah, maybe the old Tiger effect will start to take place, right? But I can't wait to see. I would love, and I believe anybody would be just thrilled to see him there. Fred, some big names we can say are not going to be here. Jason Day, Brandon Grace, Ricky Fowler, Charles Schwartzel, Bubba Watts is not going to be here. Matt Kuchar is not going to be here as well. And Matthew Wolf, but there's a name that is not going to be here. It's not about a player, but about Greg Norman, that received a notification from the RNA telling him, and I'm not going to paraphrase it, but I'm just going to say what it basically said. You know what? Stay home, because right now there's a lot of attention that you're bringing here. And we want this to be about the 150th Open, not about Greg Norman and the things that you're taking. And it's nothing against you. We just want to make sure it's the Open. So Greg was like, oh, I am very disappointed at this. I thought they would stay above this thing. But seriously, I mean, it's true. The LIV, and we have been talking about this for the past few months, has dominated the whole news about golf, and this is about the 150th Open. So how about Greg Norman being uninvited?
You know what, guys, I just think this is a big mistake. There's a lot of activities going on around the 150th. Greg Norman is a 2-time British or Open Championship winner. He should have been there. Like Kieran, you heard Kieran talking about the champions thing today with the great champions there. Greg should have been involved in that. No matter what's going on outside the Open Championship, he's still a part of this thing, and a huge part of it. So I think this, to me, and it looks like Jay Monahan going to the RNA and taking one more shot at Greg Norman and saying, hey, let's kind of show this guy. We don't have to invite him to our party. We make him stay on the outside. And that just makes his resolve. It just strengthens his resolve and makes him even more adamant at causing disruption that he's doing. So, so the RNA statement was this, guys. In response to inquiries regarding the RNA Celebration of Champions Field and the Champions Dinner, we can confirm that we contacted Greg Norman to advise him that we decided not to invite him to attend this occasion. The 150th Open is an extremely important milestone for golf, and we want to ensure that the focus remains on celebrating the championship and its heritage. Unfortunately, we do not believe that would be the case if Greg were to attend. We hope that when circumstances allow, Greg will be able to attend again in the future. Well, there's only going to be 150th celebration, and that was today and this week. So it's not going to happen again, and they excluded him. So Greg, he really, for Greg, he actually kind of took the high road a little bit. He didn't get too bad. If it were me, I'd have been livid, and I'm sure he was behind closed doors. Greg said, "I'm disappointed. I would have thought the RNA would have stayed above it all, given their position in the world of golf. It's petty, as all I have done is promote and grow the game of golf globally on and off the golf course for more than 4 decades." So we can all argue and discuss that and counterpoint for what Greg's doing with the Saudi-backed LIV Golf League and all these things. But the fact remains, he was a 2-time champion at the Open Championship, should have been involved in this, and this is kind of a real slap at him. I don't think it was a good idea. I don't think it was well advised on the RNA's part.
What do you think, Kieran?
I think it's difficult. I think I can understand why they didn't invite him. I think there's several factors at play, and it's nothing to do with Jay Monahan. I think the fact that Greg Norman earlier in the year basically used the Open to create a publicity stunt when he asked to be part of the field at the age of 67, 7 years after his exemption ended, which he hadn't used since he was 54 years of age. He hasn't attended either of the last 2 Opens at St Andrews, where they have the Champions Dinner and the Champions Challenge exhibition. He hasn't been any of those things, but yet he wanted to be part of the field. And I think that antagonized the RNA, where it was clear that he was doing that purely as a PR stunt, try and raise the profile of Live Golf and what he's been trying to do. I think that was something that went against him there. However, I can understand why they haven't invited him for all the obvious reasons, and really a disapproval of what is fundamentally the attempted takeover of the professional game by a venture funded by the Saudi Public Investment Fund. That is not something that the RNA would be too impressed about. But that said, I do think as a 2-time winner, he should have been part of it. And to me, the best play would be having him here if he wants to come. And if he goes out and embarrasses himself, then that's on him. And then everyone can criticize him rightly for behaving in that manner if he was doing so, which I think he probably would have done in the end. So yeah, it's unfortunate. But then again, there's always consequences for actions. And in one hand, it's about the Live Golf and what he's doing there. But also, I think it was the fact that he clearly tried to use the Open earlier in the year as a PR stunt, and I think you'd probably try and do the same again. And that said, having been there today at the exhibition that they had, which is fantastic, we had former champions, amateur golfers involved, disabled golfers involved. It was a great occasion, and to be honest with you, it would not have been enhanced by the presence of Greg Norman. It was a perfectly fine event as it was. It's a shame, but as I always say, there's consequences for actions, and it's not just what he's doing, it's also how he's doing it. And I think that has antagonized the executives at the RNA. It's not so much of Jay Monahan or Keith Pelly or anyone like that. It's about them themselves looking at this guy who they believed was going to use their championship as a PR tool, and not so much celebrating his part of the championship and his history in it, which has been fantastic, but using that, exploiting that for his own gain. And they didn't want to take that chance. So complicated one, but it's one that I think we could all move on from now.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Kieran. It's a pickle, right? Because as a former champion, 2-time champion, you want to have that kind of a presence. It's such an important occasion, but at the same time, it's like you're saying, back at the earlier of the year, he was warned, hey, we're not going to do any exemptions to get you into this. And he did make some statements back then and all that. So anyway, the players and the majors, and I agree, it has nothing to do with Jay or Keith Pelly. The RNA is just above them. All the majors have stated already, all LIV golf players are going to play as long as they have qualified for it and they have the right to play. So that in itself is a slap to Jay Monahan and Keith Pelly of anything that they're trying to say they shouldn't be playing or anything like that. No, you stay out. This is not with you. But with Greg Norman, it's difficult to really gauge really what should have been there But I agree. I think he should have been, but again, then you see what he could have brought in, would have taken out from that, and it's kind of similar to what we talked about Phil Mickelson going to the Masters at the beginning of the year. If he would have been there, it would have been all about Phil Mickelson on what he did, what he didn't do, what he said, what he didn't do, and not about the Masters. And this is all about what the RNA and the 150th Open at the home of golf. Fred, we talking about LIV golf, right? There's three players, Sergio Garcia, Lee Westwood, and Ian Poulter, who might we be seeing them for the last time if for some reason, you know, that part about the official world golf ranking points and maybe losing some of the qualifications, right? For them, they don't come around to that. It might be the last time that we see them playing at the Open. What you think?
Yeah, just like you named off some names earlier, you know, Kuchar and some of those guys that aren't qualified this year, Ricky Fowler, you know, for the Open Championship. And now these LIV guys, the LIV does not earn world golf ranking points yet. I think they probably will, but they don't yet. And so unless that changes and the LIV gets the world ranking points, Lee Westwood, Sergio Garcia, and Ian Poulter's automatic exemptions are going to expire for next year. So this could be possibly the last time we see these three European stalwarts in the Open Championship. And, you know, Lee Westwood, it seems, you know, Sergio won a Masters, so he has at least one major, and he should have probably won, you know, a couple other ones. Tiger knocked him out a couple times, but Sergio kind of defeated himself a couple times as well. Ian Poulter, I would argue that his game was never quite good enough maybe to win a major. If he were to win a major, I would have thought an Open Championship would have been the logical choice. But Lee Westwood, I just, you know, the guy had such an amazing career, up and down. I mean, he was completely out of golf, reworked his swing, retooled it, put the time in, and was able to come back and be a champion. He's been a great golfer for a long, long time, but never won a major. Kind of like Colin Montgomery, really. Kieran's old buddy there, you know, who just never quite was able to get that major championship win. I think that would be a shame that Lee Westwood never got his major. So I guess Sergio not playing again, or Ian not playing again in Open, I can live with that one. Lee Westwood, I wish he could have gotten a major somewhere along the way, but it didn't happen. And that could be a very real thing, that they do not qualify to play in the Open Championship again.
What do you think, Kieran, about that possibility?
It's very real, and on the world golf ranking, that's obviously going to be a massive issue going forward for Live Golf, and whether it has a sustainable future in terms of producing top players and attracting players. It's one thing having the money, which is fine, but if going to Live Golf closes opportunities, and that is another thing altogether, and that's a game changer. And there are meetings this week about the world golf ranking and whether the Live Golf application will go anywhere. You know, I'm sure that'll come out after the Open Championship this year, because the Open is really like a convergence of the golf world, much like the Masters, where all the executives, all the different governing bodies, they all meet up and have underground meetings behind the scenes in smoky, darkened rooms, you know, and they
with
come
scotch.
with scotch and this, yeah, you know, it literally in black and white as well. It's just, you know, and that's where they make all these big decisions. So we might hear more about that after the Open this year. And that's where I think this Open is interesting, where this year we've had obviously this huge disruption to the professional game in Live Golf, which is here to stay. It's going to develop, enhance, and grow. Who knows where it will go in the next year or two. But what's pretty clear to me is this Open Championship, which obviously is historic, it's a landmark. In some respects, it's kind of the end of something. It's kind of the end of the normal that we've known in the game for so long. Next year's Open Championship, the world of golf, I think, will look different in some way or another. How that will be, none of us can really accurately predict. it's going to be, you know, compelling and fascinating and contentious going forward. But so yeah, I think is it a feeling that this is kind of a watershed moment. It's like a major event in the sense of the timeline. It led to this point. This was a major event, and then there's a reality after this Open, and that's something that will be determined in the future. So, and part of that will be the future of these players. I've seen Phil Mickelson this week down at the Old Course practicing and going around and things, and I'm thinking, he's obviously a shadow of what he's been in terms of popularity and fan attention, and even just the way he looks. I mean, he looks. I barely recognised him the other day. I thought he was just a random person walking down the golf course. He didn't even look like a professional golfer. The way he was dressed, the way he just didn't look quite right. And even him, yes, he's exempt in the Open for years to come. But if the controversy about this all goes on, you know, maybe Phil will start, you know, drifting away a little bit and just playing in these live events and not even bothering playing in some of the majors. I mean, there's all kinds of questions going forward. So that's where I think it's like this Open Championship. Enjoy these players. If you're a fan of Lee Westwood, Ian Poulter, and Sergio, and Phil, and all these guys who have jumped over to the dark side, as it were, enjoy them, because you might not see them that much in these big events going forward. So yeah, as I say, the tagline for this Open Championship from the R&A has been, everything has led to this moment, this championship. This is a milestone. And that is the case. The journey has led to this moment. And I think a new journey in golf will really commence after this. So, you know, the next time the Open Championship returns to the Old Course, and as I say, 5 or 7 years, the whole landscape of golf, I think, will be very different. Whether it will be good or bad, time will tell. But yeah, it's going to be a very bumpy road until then. So that's why I think there's such a focus on trying to just enjoy the championship as its own thing, because it's kind of, we all love golf. We love championship golf. We love major golf. We love these historic venues, these great fields, the history. That's what's special. So enjoy it. And then once it's done, then we can get to the nasty stuff of live golf and PGA Tour and who's lawsuits. Lawyers. Oh, it's, yeah. The fun and games will start on Monday. But until we get to that point, let's enjoy the Open.
Let's do that. And I can't wait to get to it. And as usual, in our recaps, and I mean, on our previews, we're going to do a recap by saying, hey, who's going to win and all that. So Fred, let's get started with some, long shots, or let's call it sleepers better, to see who are your sleepers to win this year's Open.
Okay, well, I did have kind of a wild card, I guess. Maybe Max Homa was one of those guys. He's played well this year. He's won on the PGA Tour, and he seems to have really taken a liking to links golf. He played a lot of golf last week around Edinburgh. So he really likes it. I think he'll do okay. And the other thing I wanted to mention, maybe a long shot, how about Corey Connor? I got to give a shout out to the guy who went to Kent State here in Ohio, although he is from Canada, but he played well, and he played well in the Scottish last week. I think he ended up like T60 or something like that. So, he's got a simple swing, and, he doesn't get excited. So why not? He's my long shot.
Go ahead, Kieran.
I took your guy. Did I take your guy?
I have to find somebody else.
I took your guy.
Well, yeah. Go ahead. I'll see.
Oh dear. So my long shot pick, is that what you're asking me then? My long shot pick for the 150th Open. Well, I can't believe neither of you, or Fred certainly didn't say this. I can't believe you didn't pick Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods is absolutely, he is 100% the long shot pick. Absolutely. I mean, the odds would say,
Boy, don't tell Tiger that. You just gave him the locker room fodder he needed, right?
Well,
there.
I mean, I'm pretty sure the motivation is there regardless. But yeah, absolutely, Tiger Woods. I mean, obviously on paper, it makes no sense. What is he in the world rankings? Number 950 or something like that? Oh, he can't win. That's impossible.
But you know what? He's only 60-1. If you come to think about it, it's not that bad. It's a long shot, but it's not that bad.
Yeah, but it isn't amazing that the world number ranked 950 is only 60-1 to win the Open. That's just how unique Tiger Woods is. at this venue. I absolutely think he is the long shot. I mean, yes, it's not likely he's going to actually win because there's so many variables there we've discussed earlier about fitness and the durability and the competitive edge, but he can still hit the shots. And if he just gets it going, then he could absolutely appear on that leaderboard at some point. So it's a story that we all want to see, at very least, to just try and electrify things. Could you imagine if he was in the last 5 or 6 groups on Sunday? It would just be an amazing buzz about the whole thing. So yeah, Tiger Woods has to be the long shot pick because he has obviously an amazing history with this golf course. The course form is there, the memories are there. He loves this style of golf. He loves creativity and imagination and strategy. That ticks all the boxes. And maybe it would be fitting that, on this old course, that ultimately it's the old master who shows how it's done one more time. So yeah, Tiger for me is the long shot pick because it's obviously the ultimate story, and it's not entirely far-fetched that he could contend. So yeah, I want to see Tiger on that leaderboard on Sunday.
Okay, so Corey Connors, I'm not gonna get off of him because I have been picking him as my long shot for the past 2-3 years. It's not gonna be. I can't get off him. I'll get off of Max Homa so you can keep him there. But you know what? I'm gonna add one of the LIV guys there, and I'm gonna go with Mr. Patrick Reed. Okay, I think that he played very well in Portland, and he has been struggling. And the reason why he's this kind of a player is that he feeds off of motivation. And that strong finish there, even though whatever you can call the field is not as strong as this one, but he's a guy, former Masters winner, and one that definitely has the game to win here at the home of golf. So I'm gonna stick with that one. And Corey Connors, I can't let him go. So keep Matt Homa. Now, Fred, who are your favorites to win?
Guys, you know me. I just dive into this. I research this like for hours, right? Looking at this and spending so much time. Scheffler and Morikawa and Xander Schauffele coming off the big win to Scottish last week, and all. I'm going. All my cards are on the table this week. I'm pushing them all in. I'm all in on Rory McIlroy. He's the betting favorite. I'm going all in on Rory this week. This is the week he gets it back.
And who else? Because you just surprised me.
I'm all in.
He's all in. This is it.
That's it.
This is history.
Unprecedented.
On Back Nine Report, the first time that Fred picks less than 10 players to win a major championship.
I'm all in.
This is amazing.
Mark it down.
Kieran, go ahead. I mean, take the rest of the time now because I was expecting a long one here.
Well, I mean, I have to say, as I always root for the story, and Rory McIlroy would be number 2 Tiger on the list as a story. The last Open that was here in 2015, Rory was the hot favorite, and then he injured himself and missed it when he hurt his ankle. So he missed that championship 7 years ago. Now he's back. Obviously, he's played some wonderful golf at times this year, and he looks fired up and raring to go. And he loves the old course. I remember being there back in 2010 when he went out on the first day and shot 63 as a young guy. Looked like running away with the whole championship. Then the next day, the wind hit and he shot 80. Now the big question is with Rory, windy conditions do not suit his game on a firm golf course. When he won the Open at Royal Liverpool back in 2014, it was a soft week. There was a lot of rain. There wasn't that much wind. It was a soft green golf course that's more suited his style of golf. The old course this year is firm, it's fast. If there's some wind, then it'll have that kind of classic links style thing. You imagine the old links videos of years ago, the old Opens, watching like Seve and Tom Watson, and you watch them strike iron shots and there's a little puff of sand. We're not quite at that yet, but it's not far away. That's not what you would call classic Rory conditions, but I think he's up for this, and I think it'd be wonderful if he can contend this week. What he has done recently, though, is he started majors better. Before, it used to be he was a slow starter, then he'd creep up at the end and get in the top 10, but not really contend. more recently, he started very well and then kind of stalled a little bit. We saw it at the PGA. Out the PGA, shot 5 under the first day, 5 under by Sunday, would have got into the playoff, and he wasn't there. And that was so frustrating for him. I think he's fired up and raring to go. Elsewhere, Carl, I'll try and expand on what Fred was saying there. So Rory McIlroy is definitely on my list because, one, it's a story I want to see and it'd be fabulous. I also like Jordan Spieth. I think Jordan Spieth, this is the kind of golf course where you can get away with a little bit more here off the tee. It's, again, a creative, imaginative player's golf course. That suits him. I was watching him today in the Champions event. He played this wonderful pitch across the side of the road hole bunker on the 17. Great imagination, great technique. At times he does things that are just simply magical. And Spieth, the last Open here 7 years ago, he was in that great run at the time, and he arguably should have won. He missed the playoff by 1 shot on Sunday, and he 4-putted the 8th hole, the par 3. So that cost him that day. So there's some redemption potentially there. And Spieth's kind of got his game back, obviously, a little bit the last 2 years. He's now a winner again on the PGA Tour. He has contended in majors. He played great in the Open last year down at Royal St. George's. So he loves links golf, has all the skill set for it. And I think he's going to contend this week too. And in terms of our third player, Carlos, I think I'll just stick with 3 players. So we've got Rory McIlroy, Jordan Spieth, and I've tipped him every single major this year. It's been quite a decent tip at times. I'm going to do it one more time, and that is Shane Lowry, former Open champion, has the game for this sort of thing, and I think he'll play well too. One guy to look out for, actually 2 guys to look out for, Carlos, you might mention them here, are 2 English players, and it's not Lee Westwood, and it's not Ian Poulter, it's Tyrrell Hatton and Tommy Fleetwood. Tyrrell's won the Dunhill Links Championship twice through the years. Tommy Fleetwood's got a fabulous record on the old course, shown some form lately. Those 2 guys, I'm not sure they count as being outsiders, but they're definitely potential contenders. But I'm like Fred, I'm all in. Rory McIlroy. If Tiger's not going to be there with a claret jug on Sunday, which would be a long shot, but who knows, it could happen, then Rory McIlroy, I think, would be the perfect winner for the 150th Open Championship. I think this championship, this event, it deserves to have a champion, a grand name, and they don't come much bigger than Rory McIlroy. So that would be the story for me.
With his career and where he's been and what he's done in the game of golf, a European coming from Ireland, this would be the perfect stage for him to get the Open Championship.
Yeah, well, but yeah, absolutely. And I think Rory McIlroy is someone who I think more than anything else is so in tune with the history of the game. He idolized Tiger Woods, as we all know. He knows every single Tiger Woods fact and stat. And even today, he was talking about how playing with Tiger in the Champions event, he said, if you could tell the 10-year-old Rory that one day you'd be playing the old course at St. Andrews with Tiger Woods, your hero. And he obviously watched him win those 2 Opens in 2000 and again in 2005 at the old course. You couldn't believe he'd ever been in that position. Now he's got the chance to win an Open at St. Andrews, which is obviously a major deal. It's all obviously any Open's fantastic and special, but this one is to have this one on your resume. That's a unique achievement, and especially with this milestone as well, 150 years. There will only be one 150th Open, and the next time it comes here, it'll be 155 or 157. Okay, it's still good, but it's just not quite got that ring to it. So
let me ask you one more question, Kieran.
Yeah.
So, okay, you could win the Masters at Augusta National and get the green jacket, or you could win the Open Championship at St. Andrews and get the claret jug. Which one?
So you're saying the career Grand Slam for Rory, or winning the Open at St. Andrews?
No, I'm just saying for you. If you could only win one, if you could only have one.
Well, I mean, Fred, I'm obviously,
as a European, it has to be the Open, right?
Well, I live in St. Andrews, so it would have to be the Open at St. Andrews. But the Masters of it. But the question would be, would it be the Masters over the Open at Hoylake or Muirfield?
Yeah.
Maybe,
absolutely, right.
But I think winning the Open at St. Andrews, and you're walking the footsteps of Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods and Seve and Bobby Jones and Sam
John
Snead
Daly.
and John Daly. Yeah, I saw John Daly
Greg
today.
Norman.
He's looking good.
Greg
Yeah.
Norman.
Santa Claus. Santa Claus was there.
He was looking well. Yeah, he's back. This could be his last Open, actually, I think. So, yeah.
God only could hope.
Well, you never know. But yeah, I mean, yeah, winning here is so special. And obviously, not all the great, there's that quote from years ago that Bobby Jones said that, oh, to be a great player, you have to win at St Andrews. Well, that's not quite true because Tom Watson didn't win the Open at St Andrews. Harry Vardon, who won 6 Opens, didn't win at St Andrews. And they're obviously great players. So it's not it's not essential, but it does sound quite good. And to be part of that history would be very special. And it's I say there's winning Opens, and then there's winning this. It's a bit like winning the US Open at Pebble Beach or whatever. I mean, it's just got that little bit extra about it. I mean, you'd rather win the US Open at Pebble Beach or the Country Club, as we've just seen, versus winning it at Erin Hills, for example, or Chambers Bay. I mean, it's just got a little bit. Yeah,
I like both those. I like Erin Hills. I like Chambers Bay.
I know, but they don't have the same prestige and history, do they? So that's. Yeah, it's not quite the same. So yeah, and you can't beat the history of the old course here and its connection to the Open. This is the 30th time the Open's been here. So it's that in itself is worth something. And to have that scene where you walk up the last hole with the crowd all there, the grandstands, the town there, that iconic view, crossing the bridge. I mean, that is something that's winning the Claret Jug Special, but doing it with that whole scene is something beyond that. And you watch some of the old films, and I think the one that all stands out to me is actually the one Tiger winning in 2000 when he came through the crowd was fantastic. But also when Nick Faldo won in 1990, when the crowd were right there, standing in the Valley of Sin at the bottom of the 18th green, just sea of humanity right there. That's a very unique thing. And to have that moment, I think, is something that would be very special for any player. So, I think Rory McIlroy is quite content with what he's got in his career, but I think to win this one would be just the icing on the proverbial cake. So for anyone who does this week, they will be part of history. To win the 150th Open is very unique. I believe that Lee Trevino won the 100th Open back in 1972 at Muirfield. So that was his part of history, and it'll be the same this week too. So, and to do it here, yeah, with the shadow of the RNA there, and history of the Tom Morrises and all this stuff, and the champion belt and the Claret Jug, yeah, it ticks a lot of boxes. Can you tell I'm excited? I'm so excited. Oh, I can't wait.
No, I couldn't. But anyway, just to close it up, we always pick 5, so I gotta go with my 5. I mean, I wasn't prepared for 3, or you added 2 more.
Oh, we're mixing things up here. We're trying to be varied.
Yeah,
we're Mavericks.
I'm a horse racing fan better there, so I don't bet on chalks, which is the favorite. So I can't pick Rory McIlroy. It just goes against my principles. It's not even in my top 5. So he's out for me. He's not doing it. So my favorite to win is Will Zalatoris. I still go with him, and he's been playing amazing in the majors. He's just knocking on heaven's door to win, and what a better place to do it than here. My second choice was Jordan Spieth. I think he's ready to play really good again in a major, and this is the place for him to do it. He has the game to do it. The other 2 players, I just gotta go with the hottest players in the world right now, which is Xander Schauffele and Scotty Scheffler. Scotty has been doing incredible, first or second in the major. So why shouldn't he be doing that right now? And Xander just won the Scottish Open, and he's been playing also amazingly. Now, my 5th, I had to go between one of 3 that were 35-1. You mentioned 2, Kieran, there, Tyrell and Tommy. Mm-hmm. And the 3rd one was Brooks Koepka, which I think, I had to select between the 3. You mentioned all the things that I thought about Tommy and Tyrell. Tyrell was the one that I was like, but there's something that drives me to Brooks Koepka and the majors again. It has to be. He looks like he's getting back on track, and it's a major, the 150 on the home of golf. You got to count on him. So those are my 5 picks for the Open. So any final words before we close for it?
Nope, let's tee it up. I can't wait till early Thursday morning. I'm going to get up and turn that TV on right away and watch from the very beginning all the way to Sunday when they get done.
How about you, Ken?
Well, I mean, I'm just ready to. I've already enjoyed the atmosphere in the town. You walk down the streets the other night. I walked down the street, and there was Colin Morikawa walking right by me, and all this stuff. The town's buzzing. It's got a vibrancy to it. It's just wonderful. The scene is perfectly set. The weather coming in has been perfect. Golf course has never looked better. I just hope we get a little bit of wind so that the old course has some teeth and it still shows that it's a relevant test in the modern era. But ultimately, it's going to be a great occasion, and hopefully we get a leaderboard and a finish befitting this event. And I want this to be one of the great majors, and the whole build-up has been in that direction. It's all there. The potential is there. Let's hope we get it, because that would be something hugely special. So I'm looking forward to just enjoying it, being part of it. And this is kind of the peak of my kind of association with golf, is just having this here on my doorstep is just a dream come true. And I can't wait to see it all unfold. I'll be there near the first tee on Thursday morning, very, very early. I want to see that historic moment, the first tee shot, and I'll be there on Sunday for the finish and all the bits in between. This is the Open, this is the Old Course, this is St Andrews, home of golf, all that stuff. This is unique, very special, and the player who wins this has etched a very special place in history that will never ever be taken away from them, and that is a hell of a motivation for all these guys. So let's hope we get the competition and the scene that we want to see. So it's going to be the Open of all Opens, the ultimate major. This is what it's all about. As they say themselves, everything has led to this, and I can't wait to see what happens.
Has led to this, the one and only 150th time that it's going to be celebrated. So it's the Open at the home of golf in St Andrews. They're in Scotland. Can't wait to see it. I'm also pumped up like you, Fred. I think I don't even think I'm going to sleep. I'm just going to go through and wait and start seeing it. So anyway, thank you for joining us. It's always our pleasure to bring you the latest in golf news and information. Thank you, Kieran, for being with us. Amazing knowledge and amazing insight there, right from the home of golf. Thank you for joining us. Remember to subscribe to our channel. The information is right down there in the bio. Thank you for joining us.